the YSL trial, this is another week down and another week of them discussing this infamous event on September 11th, 2013. Infamous event. Excuse me. If y'all see, this is smart water. If you see it's black label, what I mean is alkaline smart water. We're dealing with a 9.5 pH on that. This one will send you to the bathroom for sure, multiple times. All type of urea going through you. All right, so they're still talking about this shooting. They started out the week with the cross-examination of Detective Velasquez, or former Detective Velasquez, Keith Adams. So now, of course, I've been bigging up Keith Adams all this whole trial, like he's the cross-examining guru and all that good stuff for witnesses. And Velasquez was up on him, and Attorney Love was up on him. They did not give him a chance to really do much. Attorney Love, the prosecutor, was objecting to pretty much everything Keith Adams was trying to do. Velasquez was like guarded the entire time. He was making sure to not really answer any questions. He was dancing around. You could tell he was specifically guarded with Keith Adams, because when the next attorney came up to question him, he was answering questions as normal. And there were a lot less objections from Attorney Love. So Velasquez and Attorney Love clearly had to strategize for Keith Adams to kind of neutralize what he's best at, which is cross-examining witnesses and stuff like that. But even then, he still got his questions off at pretty much about, and Keith Adams, like throughout his whole cross-examination spiel, he kept chuckling, because he's like, they're not really, he could tell that they weren't letting him get anything. The judge is sustaining a bunch of objections that Attorney Love is throwing out there. Another thing I noticed is that, we've been hearing a lot in this case where the judge has been barking on the defense attorney saying, hey, one at a time with these objections, and hey, stop, don't speak your objections. Just give me the objection and say the basis, and then I'll make a determination. I'll make a ruling. But when it comes to the state prosecutors, they have been explaining these objections every single time. They like, objection, Your Honor, he's coaching a witness on whatever. Objection, Your Honor, this. They have been explaining every single objection. And I'm like, once again, there's some clear bias going on right here, because, the Judge Glanville has for sure been barking on the defense. I'm talking about yelling at them about the manner at which they've been objecting and telling them, he's saying the words, don't speak your objection. Pretty much only say the word objection and say the basis, which is the legal term. They all know what that means. Speaking your objection pretty much means don't explain what the person did in detail. You don't do that. He's telling the defense, don't do that. He's allowing the state to do it. Okay, so let's move past that. However, Keith Adams did get to the main point of what he needed to get to with Velasquez, which was, do you think it's proper to delete statements from witnesses? And of course, Velasquez, being a former partner of Detective Quinn, which, again, shout out to everybody in the comments who let me know Detective Quinn is a for sure hot topic in this whole thing, and a hot topic period in the Atlanta area, because he does this Homicide Atlanta TV show on TV One and all that type of stuff. So Detective Quinn has been exposed as a person who deleted a statement from a witness. It was Eduardo Nava. I hope I don't remember his name improperly, but the Eduardo fella who took the car from the girlfriend's house and brought it down to the Cleveland Avenue area. Detective Quinn took a statement from him and then deleted it and told him, give me another statement. So now the attorneys have been pushing on these other cops to say, hey, is it proper for you to delete statements and all that? And Keith Adams came at Velasquez with that. And Velasquez is like, yeah, that's normal. People do it. If you can tell that the person is lying, yeah, delete it. Just make note. He's saying, like, you can delete it, but when you write the report or when you do your report on it, make sure you notate that this is the final statement, or what he called the official statement. And he was lying to me before, but then he changed his answer, and this is the official statement that he gave me. And Keith Adams pushed back on that whole concept of official statement, because he said to him, so you're saying that the statement is not, because he asked him, like, what do you mean by official statement? And Velasquez is like, pretty much when they're not lying. And he's like, but if this person was on the scene and they're a witness to the crime and they're telling you what they seen, how can you tell whether they're lying or not? And then Velasquez just standing on this point of, well, there's times where you could tell they're clearly lying. He just kept saying it, but he's really not. So pretty much Keith Adams just got out there and said, so it's pretty much true that you don't consider something an official statement until a witness says what you want them to say. And of course, everybody objected to that. And it was, hey, watch it, Keith, or watch it, Mr. Adams, whatever, that type of thing. But that's pretty much what it was. Like, so if you don't like the statement from a witness, you get to just delete it as many times as you want until you get the answer that you want, which of course we know police officers do that because we know that they get confessions out of people who are not actually saying that they did the crime, but the police officer won't let them go until they confess. So, you're pretty stuck because these cops just abuse their power, right? So Keith Adams just struggles through his whole cross-examination. Love and Velasquez are not letting him eat at all, but he still got that piece out. So then they move on, other attorneys cross-examine it. It's light work, but same thing. And I did want to say, because look, what's his name? I like that Damonte Kendrick's, his attorney, he keeps on going up there. He keeps going up, and the only thing he's saying to these witnesses, hey, have you ever, who Damonte Kendrick is? And the witness is like, no, I don't know that name at all. Like, who is that? And then they're like, and then the attorney is like, point at him like, hey, do you know who this guy is sitting over here? The witness is like, no, I don't know who that is. So he's pretty much establishing that because he's been trying to get severed from this trial the entire time, but they won't let him because they're like, hey, it's a conspiracy. So all of y'all are wrapped into it. And it's smart on his part because he didn't take that deal. I'm glad that he didn't take the deal. And his lawyer is going to stand on the fact that this man is not involved in none of the stuff that y'all are talking about. So here we go. He's like establishing Damonte Kendrick is not involved in any of the stuff that they keep bringing up. These cops don't know who he is. These witnesses don't know who he is. They never seen him, never heard of him. Why is he a part of this case? So it will be clear to the jury when it's time to come down with these rulings. That person at minimum should be not guilty because all these crimes they went through. So the only thing they're going to show about Damonte Kendrick is that maybe one day at some point in his life, he put YSL on one of his social media posts or something like that, which they haven't showed yet. So I think he's going to be good. I think the jury is going to say that the guy that kept on coming up here saying nobody knew who he was, we're going to let him be not guilty. All right. So shout out to that lawyer doing your job. So Velasquez is, he's done. They get him up out of there. They bring in a Detective Calhoun. Detective Calhoun is an older black man, and he was up there for a short period of time. They pretty much asked him, what was your role in it? His role was minimal. He pretty much was the person who went to the hospital and collected the money from one of the suspects that supposedly that money was stolen from a victim in a robbery. So he pretty much, he collected $970. I'm looking at my notes. He collected $970 from one of the suspects at the hospital, which he was a victim too because he got shot by a police officer. But he got that money from the guy. And on cross-examination, they asked Detective Calhoun, is it proper for you to delete witness testimonies? And he was like, no, that's not proper. We shouldn't do that. So then Keith Adams is like, because that would be considered destroying evidence, right? A witness statement is evidence. He's like, yes, that's evidence. He says, so if you delete it, you're considered destroying evidence. And the Detective Calhoun is like, yeah, that's destroying evidence. Like, you shouldn't do that. He's like, pretty much you should keep every statement that they give, not delete them. No, don't delete and just keep the one that you want. All of them count equally. So keep them all. And he got Detective Calhoun to admit to that. So essentially we see what's going on here is the defense. And this is a major, this one is a major incident because Young Thug was never punished for it. Everybody else that was involved, and I'm saying involved, but they haven't proven Young Thug was involved. But the other people that were caught and involved all got punished. They went to prison for it. Right? Thug is the only one that didn't. So Thug would be the only one who, if they can get some evidence that Thug was involved with that, they can actually get him a sentence for that case right there on top of all his other stuff because that's a new situation. He just never was punished for that wild incident. And we'll get to that legendary witness again. Shout out to Trontavia Stevens. He done set the stage. We got another legendary witness alert. Okay. So Calhoun lets it be known, hey, this is improper to delete evidence, right? And when I reach up like this, I'm reaching for my mouse. Matter of fact, let me just put my mouse right here. All right, so then we go forward. We get a fella named Leonard Pass. Now, this one right here, I got on the edge of my seat for Leonard Pass because now we finally get to the point where we got an actual victim who was a victim of one of the crimes that's pretty much like a serious crime, a major crime, which be a robbery shooting, right? You got the victim of a major crime, and Young Thug was actually supposedly involved with this major crime. But it's interesting, like I said, once again, you get a witness up here, and they do not ask them to identify Young Thug in court. I just jump forward to the end of his testimony, but I'm saying that it's strange to me, and I don't know what it's about, because normally you want the victim to say, hey, that's the guy, I seen him sitting in the courtroom right there. He was there. I know it because I saw him that day. They don't, I don't know what it is. They only want people that are former co-defendants or crimees or people who was riding in the streets with them to identify him. They don't want any of the victims to identify these people on trial. They haven't asked a single one of them yet, point out the person who did this to you. They haven't done that yet. So, and maybe it's because maybe we haven't gotten to that list of victims yet. I don't know, but I just know that they haven't done it yet. Okay. So they get Leonard Pass in there, and now he's telling the story of, and once again, I'm telling y'all, the state is jumping all over the place with these witnesses. Excuse me. They're jumping all over the place with these witnesses. Now we're back to the beginning of, so now we get to the point where when we get Leonard Pass, now we're at the point of the story where the first thing that these guys do when they take the red car from Eduardo and Brian, skateboard guy, right? So what they do when they take that car from him is go try to rob a guy named Dirty Red, right? So, all right, but this is a very pivotal point in this whole story because this is what kicks off the entire series of crazy events right here. So Leonard Pass says, hey, me and my friend Dirty Red, we get, we leave for the day because we want to go run some errands. We want to go to the bank, get some money so we could pay our bills. We're going to pay our rent, pay our utilities because we live together. So we're going to pay our bills together, right? We go to the bank. It's around lunchtime or whatever. And, we get the money and then we come back to the house because we just want to take a break, eat our lunch, whatever. And as soon as we about to get out the car, a guy runs up on us and says, you know what time it is, Dirty, or you know what time it is, Red, or whatever. Let me see if I wrote down exactly the words. Yeah, you know what time it is, Dirty. So he pretty much is saying, like, give up whatever it is you got, right? So I guess the guys didn't want to give up what he had. So it was Leonard Pass and Dirty Red, Mr. Dotson, right? Who has now passed away also. I don't know if he died in this incident because they didn't say that yet. And I didn't look it up, but his name is Dotson. Anyway, he's not here anymore. So the guy, who's trying to rob them says, pretty much give it up, give me what you got or whatever. And then they move too slow. So then the guy who ran up on them shoots a warning shot. He shoots into the ground, warning shot, right? And then his the homeboy Leonard Pass tells Dirty Red, run. He's like, yo, run. So in the midst of him about to run, Dirty Red takes the money that he has in his pocket out of his pocket and throws it on the ground to pretty much say, like, here, take it. I'm out. Don't shoot me, pretty much. And they take off running. So Dirty Red and Leonard Pass, they run in two different directions. And Pass is saying, like, I couldn't see what was happening. I was just running, but I know that the person was shooting at me. As I was running away, he was shooting at me for sure. So he just gave the directions as to which way he ran and all that type of stuff. They brought pictures up. He showed what gate he ran out of and all that. So he was for sure getting shot at because one of the vehicles at the front that was by the front entrance of the apartment complex is the windows was like shot out or whatever, right? So, and y'all see that if you've been watching the trial, you see that there was a picture of like a silver SUV and the back window was like shot out. And that was them shooting at Leonard Pass. And then he said, like, I don't know what happened to my homeboy. He went a different way. I was just trying to escape. So he made it out. He didn't get shot or whatever. But so again, they jumping around. However, now this is where we go back to like the first testimony with Robeson L. That shoot when the whoever that gunman was shooting at Leonard Pass and Dirty Red. That's where Robeson L saw. He saw them doing that. So he saw them doing that. He didn't know who they were shooting at though. He couldn't see that part. He could only see the guy shooting. He saw that, and then that's where it picks up at. He saw them running back to the car, hop in the car, and then the whole series of events happened from there. So Leonard Pass's part in this whole thing is extremely pivotal because that's what kicked off the entire series of events. And not to say he did anything wrong. I'm saying that the story he just gave, because the other victim who was there that day, he's not here anymore to tell the story. But because the man ran up and said, you know what time it is, Dirty, they knew they knew him. These are people, this is all in the Cleveland Avenue area. So I'm sure they all knew each other. Leonard Pass is from somewhere else. He just moved into that area during that time of his life. Dirty Red is actually from there, so they knew him, right? So, you know, that's the major details of that part right there. So I don't need to go too much more into that part. But yeah, Leonard Pass, he gave good details on how some of that went. But I was just surprised they didn't ask him like, hey, you know what I'm saying? Who did the person who did it, were they punished for it? You know what I'm saying? Like they didn't ask him, was anybody in this courtroom with that person? They didn't do none of that. So I'm shocked by that. I don't know what that is about. Right. So